Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, this is Catalina with Legros from Catalina's Visions, as you know already. Today we have a good friend here, a nurse practitioner named Jon, and he's gonna introduce himself soon. But we're here today to talk about menopause and hormone imbalance and among men and women. So here's Jon with us. Can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Jonathan Baldia. I'm a nurse practitioner with board certification in family practice as well as acute care. So I'm dual certified, so I can take care of you at the outside. I can take care of you in a hospital, in any setting. But prior to that, I was basically a nurse, a registered nurse, and prior to that, I was a medic in the Army. So I've been doing this for quite a long time in the basically in the healthcare field. Anyway, I have a clinic called Medela Clinic, and we're located at 3368, which adds Parkway, Circle, here in North Collier and Bonita, right on the line. So anyway, today, I think we're going to be talking about hormone imbalance among men and women.
Yes.
And its symptoms are a little bit different from between men and women. And so, we'll go through and basically, why men and women have the symptoms and what's the cause of it, as well as what the treatment. And so we'll talk about signs and symptoms because you need to be familiar with the symptoms so that some of the symptoms, you'll know that, it's not necessarily that you're tired, but it could be something else like your hormone imbalance. So we'll talk about that, and you can differentiate between men and women.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's very important that we know about the subjects that we are facing in our lives. So it's a life-changing when we have to face, menopause among women and, hormone, imbalance among men. So can you tell us more about, I know that it involves weight loss, weight gain.
It affects it.
Yes.
Definitely obesity is tied into not just like overeating, but also to hormones. You can't just blame that somebody's eating too much, but our hormone in your body, whether sexual hormones, thyroid, adrenal gland, even insulin, which is a hormone, they're all tied into each other. And so when we talk about weight loss, we also, especially for people with age, we start to look at the hormone, which is the sexual hormone, the testosterone, the progesterone, and the estrogen. So because they play, with how we feel, our tiredness, our mental focus, and even like behavior, anxiety and depression are tied into hormone imbalance.
Yeah.
So we will talk and differentiate men and women because their symptoms are a little bit different.
Yes.
And so, women's are more aware now about menopause and what you can do about it, but there's still, the men are lagging behind it. It seems to be that men are not supposed to go to menopause per se, but we call that andropause because as you age, the men also has hormone and they decrease over as you age. So I think men need to be more conscious, and sometimes women are good about identifying it more that men has problems.
Yes.
And so men kind of like really don't pay attention to their health as much as women.
Okay.
So women can be instrumental of being to be knowledgeable and be able to like identify it so that their men can get some help.
Yes,
Absolutely. So
yeah, especially that hormone that affect your libido.
Yeah, your libido, your wellness, your clarity and mental fogness. And remember when you were young, you got all this life and energy, and you can solve complex problem in a snap.
Yes,
And then you can, as you, and when you were younger, you walk differently than when you're age. And the time you hit 40 and 50, we feel like more tired, and we walk kind of like slow. We were not more. There's no brisk when we walk. We call that, like, the men used to have a swagger when they walk.
Yes.
Now they're just kind of like slump down and walk slow and like an old man. And so there's a reason for that. It's not just because he's tired of working.
Yes.
It's just basically the hormones that play. Same thing with the women. Their facial feature changes, their body changes as they age. So it's like, and we always chalk it up. It's like, oh, it's part of getting old.
Yeah, they always said that, but I think it's a negative way to think. Like when the person think, oh, now I'm old now, I'm not gonna, I don't have to worry about I'm an old man or I'm an old woman, but we still have to face life.
But if you can do something about it and get some of the youth back, we're not trying to defy it. We just want to feel better.
Absolutely.
Would you rather go through the whole day with energy and mental clarity, or would you like to just kind of just drag your body, go to work, and just kind of like, okay, this is just part of life? But with a little bit of help, you can bring back that little youthful in you and feel better, not just physically but mentally, and perhaps lose weight as well.
Yes, absolutely. I know it's something that you do as well, and helping people lose weight and everything. So how do you manage to help the people? How can they reach you? And have they have to be your clients or like?
So basically, I'm just a clinic, and they actually do membership, and because but people come here just like episodic. But if you want to do hormone replacement as well as weight loss, it's better to do basically a membership, because I can see you as much in a day or a week or a month, and the membership is just basically $65. You can see me 1,000 times or one time. But when we're dealing with weight loss, there's a lot of visit that requires, because there's a lot of teaching, there's a lot of reassessing, make sure that our interventions are working. If the same thing with the hormone, it's not like you take one pill and then the next day you have to find the balance between adjusting your hormone, and sometimes you have to do micro adjustment to titrate it. You can't just like one pill fits for everybody, because we're different.
I heard you and your crew do hydrations as well.
Yeah, we do hydration. We do intravenous hydration, nutritional hydration. So, for example, during COVID, people that are really sick and they're tired and dehydrated because they're not drinking, they're just too tired, we replace hydration. Instead of going to the ER, they come down here and get the hydration, which is a lot cheaper than going to the emergency room. Plus, you don't have to wait. That's the advantage. And then, and you don't have to be exposed to other people. The other one, if you got migraine headache, usually they're not drinking enough water, and we can give pain medicine and decrease the histamine and get rid of the migraine. The other ones, people immunity. They want to get high vitamin C, IV infusion with zinc and magnesium and B1 to B6 and B12. We call that Myers cocktail. And that basically helps you build your immune system. Vitamin C, as you know, is an anti-inflammatory as well as antiviral. So we use, even in ICU, we use high vitamin C for people with bacterial viral infection. And we have evidence to show that high vitamin C, really kind of helps the inflammation, because when you have infection, that's basically an inflammation process. And so our goal is to decrease it.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you decrease the inflammation, you decrease the symptoms.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that's it. But anyway, but I think as far as the hormone, we can talk about.
Yes,
the
because we
different
initially
symptoms.
that's what we're
Yeah.
here to talk about. So
So anyway, so for women, menopause is basically eventually, everybody will experience it in some degree. And so, usually it starts at 40 years old, and sometimes it goes as late as the 50s, and that's when your estrogen, your progesterone, testosterone kind of decrease because of age. Our immune system, our body is not working like they used to be. So it's, our skin gets decreased, they're not elastic like they used to.
yes,
Likely that's correlating to estrogen. Women, so women that has low estrogen tend to have like elastic, they call it old people skin. The skin kind of, you can pull it and stretch it. Yeah, you get the saggy, the turkey neck.
I don't want to have that.
Yeah. And so those are correlated to hormone, and so women that has still a lot of estrogen, that's basically have good skin.
Yes.
So but anyway, but for women, menopause, the symptoms that you're looking for as you age, decrease of estrogen basically makes people have anxiety, depression, irritability, rageful. I mean, like the screaming, and they get they cry at the drop of a dime. Not even they sad, they just start crying.
Okay.
And said it's not because they're crazy. Well, hormone can make you crazy.
Yes, but not really crazy. But
that's why pregnant women, when they have a surge of progesterone, their behavior, and they get really emotional.
Irritated.
Yeah. So the same thing when you get menopause. One point it might be surging, and then in next hours it'll be going down, and it's and you'll some of these women will experience hot flashes, sweaty. They can't, it's too hot. Even the temperature is 72 degrees.
Yeah.
It's feel like they had they can't get enough air, or they can't get enough temperature to go down. So it's very uncomfortable for some women. Not all women. Some women go to menopause without any issue. I mean, it's a little bit of sweatiness, a little bit of hot flashes, but those women are fine. They and then over about 5 to 10 years, eventually menopause, the symptoms will go away.
Yes.
But for some segment of women, their hot flash is so extreme that they can't be comfortable at work, at home, at night. So they lose quality of sleep.
Okay.
So for those women, they said there's other those estrogen, the low estrogen, the testosterone. One of the things that happen is that it's beside the hot flashes, is that emotional labile, meaning that their emotion can go from being nice to 30 seconds later, they're rageful and upset, like little things upset them. So those are hormone related. And then for some women, they have abdominal bloating, they have distension, their skin.
I'm working on mine though.
So those, what some of the other causes weight gain. So too much estrogen or less will make you gain weight, and it's hard to lose weight. For some women, that even you can give them Ozempic, and if their hormones are not in balance, it's harder for them to lose weight.
Okay.
So those are the ones with I'm not even eating anymore, but I can't seem to lose weight. It's usually sometimes it's not too much food. It's usually the hormone plays a role there.
Okay, when you do take the Ozempic, what do when they're taking metformin? What do the correlations?
So metformin is actually derived from a French lilac flower, and they've been using that since like 1800, and that was the treatment for diabetes a long time ago before it became medicine.
Okay.
So what it does is not like insulin. It basically allows when you take that medicine, it does three things. One, it allows the muscle to take extra glucose in your bloodstream so that it will lower your blood sugar.
Okay.
Insulin, they basically neutralize the insulin and deposit it into the cell.
Okay.
So it lowers it directly, as opposed to metformin, it basically enhances your muscle to take more of, absorb more glucose. So it doesn't make you hypoglycemic or low blood sugar.
Okay.
Insulin does.
Okay.
So there's some people that insulin give them too much, they sometimes get to low blood sugar that they get confused.
Okay.
Metformin, you can take that, it doesn't affect your blood sugar. It affects it indirectly.
Okay.
The other part it does, it minimizes the amount of glucose being absorbed in your bloodstream. When you eat carbohydrates like rice, which is really high glycemic index, or bread, especially when it's made of high processed flour, it'll bring your blood sugar quickly. What metformin does, it works like a fence. It allows some of the glucose to get into the vascular system when the carbohydrates is converted into glucose. So when what the metformin does in the stomach is just kind of like, okay, we can only allow so much. The rest we have to expel.
Okay,
and so
the rest of it.
now the other part that what metformin does, you got a hormone called leptin that's produced in the stomach. When you eat, 20 minutes later, that when your body got enough nutrients, it will signal the leptin gets secreted, meaning that it releases it and signal and goes to your brain, tells your brain, said, hey, brain, I said, you're full, we're done, we got enough energy here. Stop eating.
Okay.
And so that leptin,
helps somehow.
Well, it does. That's what it stops you. That's the one that tells you to stop eating.
Stop eating, yes.
The problem these days is that we tend to eat fast, and it takes 20 minutes to release that leptin. And fast food.
Yeah, you hear people. Do you hear that?
Too fast, and 5 minutes later you just put down a Big Mac, hamburger and French fries and a big Diet Coke or a Diet Soda. So then you got 25 minutes before that leptin can be done, and now it's just So you said like, well, I'm still hungry. So then you eat another hamburger.
Yeah, which is not good.
So but if you take your time chewing your food, right? And you take your time eating, have a conversation. It's like, and instead of just whooping it down, you get to 20 minutes and guess what? You're probably busy talking and next thing you know, you only ate half of the sandwich and not the fries because, so what happens is that leptin gets secreted and said, okay.
And then that you can stop eating.
Then the brain gets the signal and as from the leptin said, you gotta stop eating because you got enough calories there.
Yeah.
And so that's important. So if you want to lose weight, you can do simple things. Slow your eating down and chew your food really carefully. Take your time, chew it, and then and eat for at least 20 minutes.
Yes.
That alone, you lose weight.
Yes.
And so so you don't have to do anything. So and the other ones like
I have a.
that the other thing is that they need to stop eating carbohydrates, especially the simple carbohydrates like the mashed potatoes. The rice is really worse. It's like eating sugar. So a cup of rice, okay, is about 18 teaspoons of sugar. If I
You hear that, people?
18 teaspoons for a cup of rice. Imagine if I put the 18 teaspoon in a cup and I'm gonna ask you to eat it. You're gonna look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have no problems eating, like me especially. I grew up in the Philippines. So we like rice. I mean, you know, like we don't eat 1 cup. We eat like 3 cups, sometimes 4.
Yes,
And-
we're
and
Haitians,
so-
so we do that.
And guess what? That's why diabetes is rampant in Asians now, because we eat so much. But you know, rice is pretty much eaten in Caribbean, in Haiti, and you know, hey, you guys make rice with coconut milk in it
Yeah.
and some beans in it. Oh man,
Yes, I know.
So it's about we gotta limit those carbohydrates that gets converted into glucose, because that's the one that makes you fat. Because
Okay.
once the glucose gets into your body, when there's so much glucose, and your brain says, "Hey, I like glucose," but guess what? You know, too much of glucose, it makes my blood acidic,
Okay.
and then when it's acidic, it causes inflammation, and that's why you feel kind of tired, and you know, it's like, you know, and sluggy, and sometimes your arthritis gets bothered, and if you have psoriasis, it start itching.
Okay.
And so that's because of too much glucose in the vascular system inside your body and your cells.
Please share the lives for me, please, because these are very important messages, like for people, like for menopause, people who has weight, gain weight, wants to lose weight. All that is very important, like people with diabetes. It's very important that you please share, and then please leave us a thumbs up. Please share the lives.
And so so to go back to that glucose or carbohydrates, you know, you had to start limiting it, because if you want to lose weight, one of the things you had to do is decrease your glucose or carbohydrates intake, because when your body needs more, guess what? And you're not feeding that beast with bad carbohydrates, you're not feeding it with simple sugar or ice cream. It has to find another source of energy.
Okay.
And so what it does, fat, when there's too much glucose, the brain says, "Hey, honey, I'm gonna put you somewhere. I'm gonna store you," and basically it basically converts it into fat.
Okay.
So you get fat not because from protein, not from the grease that you eat. It's from carbohydrates. So if you want to lose weight, it's easy. Just eat like 100 grams a day. That's 4 slices of bread. That's 1 cup of rice a day. A day, not servings. A day.
Okay.
So if you just do that, you will lose weight.
And the carbohydrates. So you know, I know un pile haïtien pa konnen. Excuse me. The carbohydrate, c'est soda yo. Soda moun ap ple de boire pour nous couper sous ça. Pour nous pas boire as much quantité soda que nous qu'on a boire, parce que ça fait nous gain weight un pile too.
Yeah, so serving of soda is 53 grams. So if you drink like, I used to drink like 10 of cans of Coke. Multiply that by 53, multiply by 10, that's 5,300. That's more than that your body needs. Okay. For my age, I only need to eat like 2,200. So if I just drink alone, I ate 2 days worth of what we call that of food or calories. So soda, you're right. You know, you have to stop drinking that.
Okay.
Drink water.
Yes.
You know, and then
water is the best.
And pick calories that are healthy, not unhealthy. And carbohydrates, especially highly processed flour, are easily converted into glucose. That spikes your sugar. So that's the biggest thing. So, but like I said, go back to menopause. For women, it's basically as the estrogen goes down, they gain weight, and they keep gaining weight, and then eventually, they basically start having some hip problem, knee problems, and they're sluggish, and they have issues with breathing because there's too much fat in your chest and your neck, and it's hard for you to inhale and exhale.
Okay.
And then it also causes you, as you gain weight, it causes you to have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is basically when you stop breathing middle of the night, or you're not getting enough oxygen because your throat closes up. It's like somebody
Mhm.
choking you.
Okay.
And as you have sleep apnea issue because of
Mhm.
weight gain,
Okay.
guess what? It makes you even more fatter because
Yeah.
the cortisol, your adrenal gland, has to basically every night you're not getting oxygen. That cortisol goes up,
Mhm.
the glucose goes up, your blood pressure goes up.
Mhm.
Now you got high blood pressure
Yes.
because of the weight.
Yeah.
So so hormone and weight loss, if you can control that, you're gonna live a healthier life,
Mhm.
as well as and live longer, and you get to see the more in life.
Yes.
So that's what basically is being healthy.
Yes.
Now for men, it's different.
Mhm.
We go to menopause as well. I mean,
Yeah, can you
and
wait for me for a little bit, please?
uh,
For moun ki haisyen, tankou John fek pale la de moun ki pa vreman kompren angle ya, nan menopause se wetou, fò pè du poids, fò redwi sou manje ou, fò exercise tou, pa vre? Right,
Yeah.
John? For exercise, for perdre du poids, et parce que li affecte hippo, like ceinture, bono, before gen douleur. So, for pran an pile précaution. Et ça, I remember that you said that that affect your bones, like osteoporosis.
For the estrogen, yeah. So women that are low estrogen,
Mhm.
they actually lose calcium
Mhm.
absorption. They can't absorb it, and then of course the bone gets brittle. We call that osteoporosis.
Porosis.
And so as you age, women don't absorb because of lack of estrogen.
Okay.
So that's why we tell people take more calcium. But even with that, it doesn't, they continue to have osteoporosis, and that could lead to breaking the bones, like the
Okay.
hip, the leg, even
Mhm.
just by walking, not necessarily falling.
Mhm.
It's because the bone gets so brittle because there's not enough calcium in there that they break easily.
Yeah. John di ke takou nan medam yo lò fè menopause, si ou konen kalsiyum ou vin desan nan zo ou, e zo vin feble. So, fò pran kalsiyum pou remplase li, paske ou kapab kase hipou, ou kapab ap mache kon sa, e pi ou tombe, e pi zo kase. So, fò nou pran prekosyon avèk kon nou, body nou, lè nou rive nan mouman sa yo pou nou pran vitamine ki ka proteje nou pou nou pa gen osteoporosis, especially lè nou rive nan menopause.
So basically, so for men, like you said, we have that menopause like women. We call that andropause. Andro for basically the hormone, androgen.
Oh, that's for men.
Yeah, so we
Okay.
call it andropause.
Okay.
Before we kind of just, we call it like menopause. It's like
Okay, okay.
But now we have a term for that, andropause.
Andropause,
Yeah.
like for the men,
Yeah.
ou garçon yo.
So basically, for men, as they age, they start like about 40. What happens is that they start losing to produce testosterone adequately, and so that's why you see men as they age,
Mhm.
they get the big belly, like
Yeah.
like a pot belly,
Mhm.
and you see the men having more like breast,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so they start to like kind of walk like hunch over. They shuffle their feet. They get forgetful.
Okay.
They get irritable. The term, like angry. Old men.
Okay, okay.
Old men gets angry.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yo fâché.
so-
Ça veut dire que yo fâché souvent nan garçon yo. Là yo gen how do you say that?
angry old men.
The pause.
The pause.
Like
Pause
is it the-
is because it decreased. Pause
It-
is like the testosterone used to be produced a lot in your testicle.
okay.
And then, but as you age, basically it goes down, and so when it goes down, you have this symptoms of, like basically low testosterone.
Yeah, it's like a difference, like the women have a way they affected with that,
Well,
and the
so
men
is
have a
men.
different way.
Well, the men, they gain the belly, and
Mhm.
and they also like have, they have the same symptoms, like, like they get irritable,
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like women,
Mhm.
and so, but men, on the other hand, uh, the testosterone goes down,
Mhm.
but the estrogen also goes up. But testosterone goes up, the estrogen goes up. That's
Mhm.
why grandpa is basically now more lovable.
Mhm.
They're not as very man.
Grumpy.
No, I mean when they're young, they're like, like they don't show emotion very much. But as grandpa gets old, they're more huggy, and they're like,
Mhm.
like to listen now.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
enjoy cooking. They're like, they're a little bit more feminine, and that's
Mhm.
because of the estrogen. They're
Okay.
softer now.
Okay.
Men is normally, like especially in our culture, are kind of tough.
Mhm. Okay.
As they get old, grandpa gets softer. Now
Mhm.
he's lovable, he's huggable. But
Okay.
when he's young, that's not so true. He's tough. He doesn't want to hug. That's not manly.
Now, what can the men do to
So,
replace that hormone to
well,
help them?
the basic thing is like whether men or to replace your hormone, is basically lose weight. You lose weight, guess what?
The same
The
as
hormone
women.
goes up. Yeah, same as women.
Okay.
The second thing, same with women and men, exercise.
Mhm.
Because exercise, guess what? Stimulate testosterone,
Mhm.
men or women. But estrogen comes from testosterone. When you have testosterone in your body, so for you, you don't produce estrogen,
Mhm.
but the estrogen comes from basically from testosterone. First, testosterone has to be made
Mhm.
and then converted into estrogen.
Okay.
So that's the difference. So what happens is that, like, as the estrogen goes up, for women, so again, the testosterone will also go down. They're
Mhm.
kind of like, in progesterone, as the estrogens even go higher,
Mhm.
it pushes the progesterone and testosterone. Now, for women, testosterone plays a little tiny role.
Mhm.
You need to have that, even though
Mhm.
it's a guy's hormone,
Mhm.
but women has that, but they only need a little bit.
Mhm.
For men, testosterone is the driving force for basically to make them, men, to behave like men.
Mhm.
Like tough, and like, like strong, and they had stamina, right?
Mhm.
So what for men is like, they become like kind of like more feminine traits, and then they have the breast, and they have the belly,
Yes.
and they have skinny legs,
Mhm.
and so what happened? But men gets irritable, they get brain fog,
Mhm.
where they can't simple arithmetic, they can't do it, even though they might be, they're good at math.
Mhm.
They get forgetful.
Resume, please, for me. Mhm.
So basically, so for men, for them, they also lose libido, because testosterone is tied into libido,
Okay.
men and women.
Mhm.
So women lose libido not because they have too much estrogen,
Mhm.
but because they're, when the estrogen goes up, testosterone goes
Goes
down.
down. Yeah.
So when that testosterone goes down, women lose libido. So like they're not really keen. And there's some certain women that they have very high estrogen, but usually they have a condition, polycystic ovarian syndrome,
Mhm.
where basically they tend to be heavy even when we're teenagers,
Mhm.
and they hump like a humpback, and they're considered obese,
Okay.
and it's because they have so much testosterone in the
Mhm.
system,
Mhm.
and causing them for that. They look like a guy.
Okay.
Like, have the structure of a guy, kind of like a football, like, defense.
Okay, okay.
You can spot them easily in a crowd. They're not very feminine. They're like more like a guy.
Okay.
You know, like,
More like
but
masculine.
yeah, masculine, but they're fat.
Okay,
Because
okay.
that's part they're fat. The humpback, like
Okay, I see.
so they have that like a hunch.
Okay.
So that's you could tell that and they have a lot of hair in their arms and facial feature. They tend to be hairy because of the high testosterone.
Okay, I see.
So that's a different problem. But for men, basically what we do with men is that when usually they don't come here, usually the wife that brings them over here.
Okay.
And the wife says like he's depressed. He just sits in the couch. He doesn't do anything. He works, like goes home. He just sits in the couch and he'll stay in the couch for the whole weekend.
Okay.
And they'll say we used to go out and do something. Now he just sits there and don't do anything.
Yes,
and so,
that's why they need more energy, right? They need energy.
Their lack of energy. So and the biggest thing is that when you ask them, it's like they're working in the afternoon, they're till afternoon. Suddenly they just drained with energy.
Yes, they work hard and then they're not doing anything.
Yeah. But back then, when they're young, they can work all day long, and no problem. So for that, we have to find out whether they have low testosterone. Men or women, we have to do blood draw.
Okay.
The blood, basically, we look at because the hormones is controlled by your brain, and your brain has that pituitary. And the pituitary secrete LH, luteinizing hormone, and fecal stimulating hormone, and their job is the thermostat over your sexual hormone.
Okay.
So they're secreted, and so they go up and down depending what your body needs, and it varies from minute to minute, hours by hours. So like I said, so that hormone goes up and down.
Absolutely.
They control 3 sexual hormones, and this is basically for women, estrogen. Estrogen has 4 different types of estrogen, but for most it's estradiol and estrone. And the other one is estrogen is for pregnancy. That's like E2, and E1 is basically, we don't want that to rise because that's the one that causes all the cancers.
Okay.
Breast cancers and uterine cancer. So those, so if we're gonna replace it, we trigger the estradiol.
Okay.
And that's we also measure that. So for men and women, when we do the testing, we look at the progesterone. We also look at the testosterone and estrogen, and then we also look at their thyroid because remember this hormone they play once against another. If one is high, the thyroid could be suppressed or increased. Okay. So they play a role, and then there's another player. That's nothing to do with the sexual hormone. It's called the adrenal glands, and they're somewhere here, and their role is basically control like cortisol. The cortisol is used when you have somebody's trying to chase you, like in the old days. The tiger's chasing you. Well, you need that energy. Yeah. And you want that speed. You want to get away from that tiger who's chasing you, about to eat you. Yes. So or fight the tiger. So nowadays, when we were anxious because we're running late or whatever, that little stressor, it simulates that your body basically is under stress. Stress. Okay. By the way, stress can be good. Good stress and bad stress, but either way your body responds to the same way. So it's not just the bad stress that causes the cortisol to go up, but also it goes up when you're excited, like you're watching a football or it's somebody's wedding, and so cortisol goes up. When the cortisol goes up, guess what? The glucose goes up. So they're all tied down. So this is where but it also affects when that cortisol goes up, it decreases the testosterone. So that's why part of the things that men and women can do easily is this de-stress, lower their stress. Okay. And the second one is exercise. That along with when you do exercise and stress and learn to relax, your hormone normalizes. That's why we always say take it easy because people who try to get pregnant, they can't get pregnant because they're so anxious just trying to get pregnant. So take a vacation and suddenly relax and suddenly she gets pregnant. Same thing with men. So for men, like I said, if exercise doesn't work and it's still low and you're eating healthy, you gotta eat, fruits and vegetables, like healthy food.
Yes.
Alcohol is a no-no because that affects your testosterone and estrogen.
Especially when you're diabetic too, right?
Yeah. So that affects because alcohol gets converted into glucose.
Glucose, yes.
When your liver detoxifies it, it basically splits the alcohol and it uses water, and then the final product is glucose. And so it's not good for your system. So exercise, right foods, relaxation, is a good starters. For women, it's the same thing because they're all driven by these factors.
Yes.
You eat toxin foods like Diet Coke, that will affect your hormones as well.
Okay.
So toxin, there's a lot of food there like that could be sprayed. So that could affect your hormone thing. But like plastics, like container. We know that there's the microplastics are pretty much in our water source, in the food, even fish that you eat has microplastics, and we know that decreases testosterone.
Oh.
So that's one of the things that it's not just about getting old, but toxins in the environment. And plastic is the biggest contributor of driving your hormone down.
Okay, it's something that we all have to watch for the plastics, especially we drink a lot of water, plastic bottles, right?
That's why most people now use glass.
Okay.
And in the old days, we used the Coca-Cola is made of glass, right? Now it's like they're kind of expensive, so you use aluminum or we use plastics. And but this plastics goes in to contaminate our water source, the oceans, and so fish, end up like eating some of these microplastics, and when you eat those fish, it affects the hormone.
The body.
Okay. So just to know that, for men, how do we replace on men? Is basically if it's low and you want to get more energy, more clear thinking, and you want more strength and stamina, and of course, like libido is the biggest for men. Libido is the biggest problem. So we do the blood test. We find if it's low, we just replace the testosterone. And if you're obese, I say you need to lose weight because losing weight alone will increase your testosterone. And but you can do both because losing weight takes time. Then we also look at the men if they're obese and their neck is too big, and they might be probably sleep apnea. I send them for a study for sleep apnea. If they have sleep apnea, then they have to wear a mask, or and to basically make sure they don't stop breathing in the middle of the night. So that will also lower testosterone if you take care of the sleep apnea. When they have sleep apnea, they get corrected with a breathing apparatus at night when they're sleeping. They actually lose weight and they actually lower the blood pressure. So it's a win-win. Then the pills, the testosterone. We give testosterone. Usually we give that by pills, by injection, or pellets. So pellets, it's easy because you only do that every 4 or 6 months. They put it in your butt and they stay there. The problem with that is that because you can't dial it. Once it's in there, we have to wait till 3 or 4 months to change the dose. Either sometimes you get too much or too little, and if you get it right, then it's a good dose. But if you get it wrong, then you have to wait a long time before you can change it.
Before you can change your dose.
I don't like the pellets because if you get infected, because they put that seed, so testosterone in your buttock, you end up basically have to cut your Bluetooth Maximus will open up and get the seeds.
Okay.
So there's a risk for infection.
Okay.
But it's hard to dial. Basically, it's hard to like say like because it's a trial and error. You know, because everybody's different when it comes to like how much testosterone you use, your body utilizes. So I usually like the men tend to like the injection than the cream. Cream's a little messy. So it's up to what the person wants. They want the cream's a little bit more expensive. The injection's a lot cheaper. And you get 100% because the cream could get in the sheets and you lose that. So testosterone it's easy to dial. So for women, women's a little bit more complicated because guys they only need testosterone. Once you get testosterone, the estrogen goes down because remember they have too much estrogen. So when you start getting it, you'll drive that estrogen down, and they start like having normal problems with the breast, and then they lose this weight over here. And now they got a little six-pack now.
Okay, so, that's good. That's good.
And then now, how do we know that men has a good testosterone? We have to test it, but the symptoms gets better. They start having the swagger. They work like with confidence.
That's
good. Even their voice gets
back to
deep,
normal.
Like a manly voice. And then they got that confidence, and they, like I said, and they can think clearly. And for the biggest bonus is that they got libido, energy. And basically, and they can actually lift more weights.
That's
they
good.
can, they can start like the strength goes back, so they're stronger. So, but the goal is like well-being. They're not irritable anymore, and that's the plus size. There's not the sex part that really they say like, man, I haven't felt like this before. I feel like alive again. And that's what the men looks. Now for women, it's different because you have to do progesterone. You have to do most of them, if the estrogen is too high, most likely the progesterone is low and the testosterone is low. So what we do is we try the estrogen first, and after the exercise and the diet and the stress reduction, and if it's still low, we give you a choice, either a cream, pills. Most women don't like to inject, so they usually just either a pill or just the what we call that, the cream. But I like to start them on the pills because it's quick. In about 3 days we'll know whether the symptom is getting better. The cream takes a little bit longer because it takes time to absorb it. And then the other part is like we introduce progesterone because progesterone when you give the estrogen you really have to give progesterone, because if you leave out progesterone, that's where the risk increases for blood clot, increases for cancer. And so that's why you have to replace it with progesterone. They have to get them together, unless you don't have the uterus, but say you had the hysterectomy.
This is the part two that we're supposed to meet to talk about that part of
the thing.
The health
it's a big topic
that we need to talk about, because I remember you were telling me that it's a huge topic. We will have to take a part today, and then after that we go with another one, and this is gonna be another huge topic that we have to talk about.
So okay,
and I think
so
we're gonna
we're gonna
start from here for today.
We can talk more about basically about how to manage the menopause. Like I said, women is a bit more complicated. It's harder to dial in, but once they achieve a good normal ratio of the testosterone and progesterone, women's life is like night and day. I mean, my three things about, like, I don't give everybody hormone unless they absolutely have very symptomatic. If you have a little bit of symptoms, guess what? You don't need it. You'll get over it. But there's some that's really that affects their lives. They're sleeping and they're just uncomfortable. Those are the one that needs it. And the second rule is that if you're gonna get into the hormone, we try to use it as natural, like progesterone made from yams, as opposed to progesterone made from horse. You know, like from the urine. That's what they take it. They're similar, but they're not the same. Progesterone from horse and humans is almost different, but still different. Would you rather like take, you know, and when you know, so I personally rather take yams if I have to, as opposed to take from urine.
Absolutely.
That's just me. The second one's like, you know, the third one is that when we start urine hormone, I don't subscribe that, you know, we're going to give you the biggest dose first and see if we can get it. I start slow and small, and then gradually. We only take the symptoms out, but you know, we want to use just enough, not too much, because that will help, you know, in a long way to decrease the inflammation in the body. So small, as much dose as you can. The smallest dose is the best way to do it.
Yes. Thank you so very much, Jon. Thank you so very much for like accepting to have the podcast with me. And I know there are people there. It's a lot of information, like for people to learn about how to take care of yourselves and how you supposed to lose weight and exercise, like you know, adopt a better habits, like the way you eat, you know. So I appreciate everything that you guys do, like, you know, you're watching us, and then I appreciate you, Jon, for everything.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for accepting to be here. We will be back again another time for a second part, and for part 2. And please share the contents for me. You know, subscribe to my channel. It's gonna be in my YouTube channel, which is KATALINA'S Visions. And please remember, if you have donations, I'm open to that. Please help, because I need to have better you know, materials for the show, and then I need to help little kids, and then especially some kids in Haiti for school, for food, and then here to help with children with cancer. So I really focusing in helping children, like, you know, do activities for children to deal with children that are victims from bullied. This is a very important topic that I am focusing on too and talking about, because we need to reduce bullies, because so many children are dying, and we parents, we have to talk to our children, make sure we involve in what is going on. Sometimes the children may say that they're doing okay and they're not doing okay, and they're always gonna let you know so you can feel comfortable. They want you to feel comfortable that nothing is going on with them, but something is going on. So we will go back again to talk about that. This is gonna be another time. Please leave me a thumbs up, share the lives, and then share the contents. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching. Take care. Bye.
That was a nice interview, guys.